the moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Christina Yojimbo Henry. You can continue. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
All right, we got a show to do.
I know. Let's get into this.
All right, let's go. We are -1, though.
We are -1 this week. She is doing the good work, though.
She's out pushing. Yeah, man. She's promoting the show out in Chicago.
We used to kid when Mike wasn't here, which was often, that he was out on a tour promoting TMI.
Scouting locations.
But Christina is actually out there promoting TMI. She is at C2E2 as we speak, pushing our postcards right along with her books. I just
heard everyone click off because they've just found out that Christina's not on this episode. They're like, it's just these two knuckleheads again? Click.
I'm remote. Here I am.
Spot on, my friend. Spot on.
Thank you.
She's going to be jogging on Wednesday, and she's going to be listening to this going, these two idiots. Why did I sign on for this? She's probably happy she missed this episode, though. She would have tried to talk us up.
But this is just a part 2. This is a sequel in itself to one of our earlier episodes.
Yes, we did review Teen Titans Go. That was a movie I dragged my son to, and I think that was
the
last time.
And you both loved it. You both loved it.
Yeah, he was, playing the cool, like, really dad. But, this is the same kid who went last week with his friends to go see Sonic. So we'll be talking down Teen Titans to me.
So this has been in the works for us. We both enjoyed Teen Titans Go to the Movies. And it teases a sequel at the end of that. And we got it with this, which we're about to review on this particular show. Mm-hmm. But as always, before we do that, we do have some news this week.
We do have some news, and apparently you have some news as well. So we're going to news out here.
Maybe it's the same news.
It may be. Who knows? Let's start with this, which is, you remember that little movie, Little Shop of Horrors?
I do.
All right, which came out, 86?
86, and then before that, I think 60 with Jack Nicholson.
A lot of people don't realize that was a remake of a black and white. But anyways, they're remaking it yet again, and the rumors are swirling that Captain America himself, Chris Evans, will be playing the sadistic dentist.
Ooh.
Which I think is, after his little stint on Knives Out, I'm in.
Now, this was the Steve Martin role in the 86
Yes, correct,
version.
in the 86 version,
okay.
Yes. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a musical.
There have been many revivals of this show on the stage.
Yeah,
I think has it ever hit Broadway? Has it ever been a big Broadway show?
I want to say yes, but I can't verify that. I do know a lot of local high schools perform it.
Oh yeah, I see it locally as well.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
You think that they just make like one of those big Audrey 2s and rent them out, but I think each production has to kind of create their own.
If you do your own, maybe Ridley Scott will come and fund your play.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me
I always get the wrong impression whenever I think back on the 86 movie that Tim Burton did it, but that is not the case.
It's got a very Tim Burton-esque feel to it. I saw it in college, and I want to say, who did direct that? Because I feel like the director was there. It was one of those screenings. Landis?
Was it
Landis?
I think it was a comedy director of some kind.
I don't remember. All right.
Reitman, Landis, one of those 80s
Yeah,
guys.
I don't know. That sounds about right. I don't know. Our nerd creds are going out the window right now, dude.
Yeah,
we didn't prepare. I didn't prepare too much for that news, other than the fact that I thought it was kind of cool casting, if it's true.
Yeah, and is that the only casting that is out there now?
That's the only thing I've heard so far.
So we don't know who is playing the Rick Moranis role from the 86.
No. Okay. No. So I guess we'll find out. I don't know anything more. Who's setting to direct it? Who's producing it? Nothing. Speaking of directors, James Gunn, who was unceremoniously let go from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 by Disney, and then they backtracked, but by then he had already signed on with DC. He just wrapped principal photography on the Suicide Squad 2 Yes, I know you've never seen Suicide Squad, but from what I understand, some of the characters are coming back, some are not. They're bringing in a bunch of other new DC characters.
After our positive review of Birds of Prey, is Harley Quinn going to be back?
She's going to be large in charge and up front. She's going to be a major player. Maybe
they're actually going to rename. They're already renamed it Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad.
That I could see. What I didn't realize though, and this was on his Instagram or Twitter post when they wrapped, was that he had lost his father like 2 weeks into production, and then 2 weeks before they ended production, he lost his dog. Oh. So this poor guy's book ended with sorrow on both ends. So I'm sorry to hear that.
But he is still doing Guardians 3.
He is, yeah. But Disney was magnanimous enough once they welcomed him back on board to say, all right, you already signed up for this, do that, and then we'll take care of it.
Just think, he could have been wrapping principal photography on Guardians 3 right now if none of this had happened.
I know. We'll get it eventually, right?
Yeah.
So we had talked last week about Harrison Ford, 77-year-old Harrison Ford, still stepping into the role of Indiana Jones 5.
Yes.
Well, news is Spielberg will not be directing it.
I did see this news as well.
And I don't necessarily think that is bad news. You know, I mean, he's directed, he's been associated, he'll stay on as a producer.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, the name that keeps coming up is James Mangold.
And what did he do?
Well, he's just coming off. What did he just direct? Well, he was involved in a couple episodes of The Mandalorian, season 2. So we haven't really seen anything with him yet. But he did direct Logan.
Oh,
which I think we all can agree was probably one of the strongest, if not the best, Wolverine movie.
I would agree.
I'll go so bold as to say it was. Yes.
Yeah, that is not saying much, by the way, but it is.
But he was able to infuse some. I mean, even the character at the end of their lives, you know, showed more humanity than we've ever seen in that character.
Yeah, and this is a very unique situation where I think the actor far outshines most of the movies that he's been in as Wolverine. Because you still really can't think of anybody else as Wolverine other than Hugh Jackman.
And there's already rumors, you know, we're going to cast Henry Cavill, who's going to show up. I don't know which one they're the Wolverine, but I think by and large that's been shot down. Speaking of Hugh Jackman, we got to review Real Steel. I know I just had to throw it out there. It was on the other night. It's so stupid when we wrote up our little bad movies that we love.
Yeah.
Exclusively for the website, by the way. I went with Battleship, but because I couldn't really say that Real Steel is a bad movie.
Yeah, you do get defensive of these movies, and
I do.
Like Laser Blast.
Right. I know.
I think it's arguable that it's a bad movie. I was a little bit upset when even though it's so funny, the Mystery Science Theater, I was getting upset at it. Like, don't make fun of this.
How dare you? Good day, sir. Good day. Oh, man. All right. Well, I will finish out my news, which is I shared this between the three of us via text the other day. We had just, speaking of bad movies, we had just come across and discovered this wonderful little app called Tubi.
You've heard us talk about this before, but for anybody that's never seen or heard of this, it's spelled Tubi.
And it's free.
Look for it.
Yeah, quick, because Fox is looking to buy it. Disney, they want to just gobble up everything.
I assume that if this goes through, then we would have to pay a monthly fee.
I would assume that's exactly my assumption as well, which is here's this wonderful gift that is just, and you pointed out the fact last week or whenever, that there's a fair amount of decent, quote unquote, real movies on there, but there's a ton of these Laser Blasts. That's how we saw Laser Blast.
Yeah.
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
It can be said that thanks to Laser Blast, we know what Tubi is because we looked to see where you could see this thing.
Yeah.
And there up pops this app called Tubi, and it was just a plethora.
It's a cornucopia.
Yeah.
It is a rabbit hole. Because, boy, once you start scrolling through it, you're just like, holy crap.
You scroll longer than actually watching a movie through Tubi.
Yeah. Well, that's all of us. It's like, what am I going to watch?
Mm-hmm.
It all looks so good. So grab it, download it, watch as many movies as you can before Fox gobbles it up.
Yeah.
crazy.
Ugh.
So that's all my news, but you said you had something.
Yeah, just an interesting sidebar. I read something. Rian Johnson, director of Last Jedi and Knives Out, revealed that while he was filming Knives Out, that he did get permission from Apple to use iPhones in his movie on one condition, that the bad guy would be never seen using an iPhone.
Really? Only smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol?
Only doing that stuff. But the ultimate bad guy, and this is spoiler alert, so if you have not seen Knives Out, pause
we
this
already
right
mentioned
now.
him. We already mentioned him in the news. That's all you got to say.
Yes. The ultimate bad guy in Knives Out is Chris Evans. And as a clue, if you're watching a murder mystery, look for the character that never uses an iPhone, and that's probably your bad guy.
Wait, is that real? That
is real.
Apple does not allow
villains
use it. Well, but you're implying that he still had to get permission just to use the Apple phones within his movie.
Yes, he did. So he did have to get permission, but on the condition.
Usually somebody like pays. They want that crap. Product placement, man. Think about Superman 2 and him getting thrown through that Marlboro truck.
But it wasn't like placement. It was General Zod wasn't lighting up a Marlboro.
No, he did afterwards. Kneel before Zod and light me up.
So
that's interesting.
Isn't it weird?
That is kind of bizarre.
But that's all my news.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So as we said before, we are going back to the animated world. After last week, after our double anime.
I was going to say, we just came off an anime.
We're sticking
frenzy.
In that world with both feet.
In my
Teen
fuzzy
Titans,
slippers.
What is it? Is it Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans? Go comes first.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is much more a Teen Titans Go movie than a Teen Titans.
Yes, definitely.
And if you're confused by that, because there have been multiple iterations of these superheroes on television.
And the reason being is that they actually give it away as a joke in this movie, is that the ratings apparently for Teen Titans Go far supersede the ratings of the earlier incarnation of Teen Titans, which is why this thing is still airing new episodes today.
Well, Teen Titans Go, I think, has been Teen Titans, the original, which came out 2003.
2003, I think is.
So it was only 3 seasons, all 3 of which I own on DVD, and my children were absolutely enamored. Now, they were young,
Yeah.
But we watched those shows ad nauseum. I have pictures that my daughter drew at probably age 3 or 4 of Starfire. We had the 12-inch figures, which they were just stiff-armed. They weren't really action figures.
Like
they were
the Marvel
action.
Titan line of figures?
Yeah, they're like in-action figures,
Just to go off on a rabbit hole, those Marvel Titan figures really offend me. Like coming from the Mego line of the late 70s, being in my childhood peak, I had all those superhero figures from Mego, and they articulated fully. You could pose them in any battle pose, really, that you wanted.
Yeah.
But these Titan figures that are so popular with the kids today, you can't do anything with them. It's like the old ROM figure. The arm went up and down.
Right.
The leg goes up and down, and that's it.
Well, that was even the 12-inch Star Wars figure. Well, no.
They don't have bending arms, elbows, and knees?
Luke, Leia, I'm looking at them right now. Luke,
I think
Leia,
Boba Fett had bending elbows.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, because you had to keep his Wookiee pelts on the shoulder. You're right. But some of them, like 3PO didn't. Vader didn't. IG-88, the Stormtrooper. Some of the other ones are all straight up just arms. But yeah, these Titan ones. And you're right. It was 2003 to 2006 is when the original series ran. Yeah, so let's get into it because I loved this.
So did I.
I almost wanted to watch it a second time. I had so much fun with it. I think I like this more than I did the first movie.
I am a Teen Titans Go fan because my son is 9 years old, and he is of the perfect age. He got into Teen Titans Go probably 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And loves it. And so much so that he adamantly names himself as a DC guy rather than a Marvel guy.
Fighting words, boy.
Yes. This is just,
but if you're going to go to the dark side with DC, Teen Titans, and I will tell you that I was, after watching these and starting to talk about, we're going to get into the comic books because Teen Titans was my introduction to the DC universe.
And you do see the comic characters from the comic books in this movie.
Yeah, and it's the first time that I really felt sad that I just sold all these comics because I have such fond memories of these characters. And I'm just like, oh, I used to have that.
You know what's funny is that one of the last Comic-Cons that I went to that wasn't attended by TMI, in one of the gift bags that I got from one vendor, there was a 85 issue of a Teen Titans comic book.
Really?
So that's the only one I have at the moment.
I had a complete run of the 1980 reboot, coming off the success of X-Men, by the way.
Yeah,
and that's why they.
And at the time, that was probably the most popular DC title was Teen Titans.
Yeah. No, like I said, they were my gateway drug into I mean, you know, I had Superman comics, and you know, you had I never was a Batman guy, but Teen Titans, man, that would just hit me at the right age, right spot. They were riding high. They actually had that crossover. It was the first comic book I ever paid $2 for. And you have to remember, in 1980, comic book prices were probably 45 cents at the most.
If that. Yep.
And this was X-Men versus Teen Titans.
Wow.
And it was a Walt Simonson artwork, and Chris Claremont, I think, wrote it. And it was a $2 book, and that's the little corner store still sits there. Every time I go to visit my dad, I pass right by it, and I remember it like it was yesterday. The girl like gave me crap behind the counter. She's like, "You're really gonna pay $2 for this book?" Because that was like another $6 I could have bought with.
And you said, "Yeah, you're right. I'll put it back."
No, I didn't. Not at all. Boy, I that thing, I ended up stapling the spine back together because I read it so many times.
You know, you used to staple? I used to put masking tape on the spines to hold them together.
People right now are going, curse you. How dare you? But that's what we did, because you know what, kids? We actually read our comics.
Yes, yep.
I read them.
I put the cover back so I could read more easily. If I could go back and smack my former self in the head for doing that, I would. But that's what I did.
Listen, and we also opened our toys. We didn't keep them in the box.
Yeah, I know. If only I knew, right? So I would have asked my parents to buy me 2 of everything so I could open one and keep the other one, right?
Yeah. Anyways, so yes, Teen Titans Go by nature is just a frenetic. It's not it. You know, you're lucky because you have a son who's younger and he's into it. I watch his show and I'm kind of embarrassed sometimes.
but it does cater to adults as well as children.
There absolutely. And this one. And this
over the heads.
Right. And this is what's great is that you get to set up right early that they're brought in Master of Games, who is a direct ripoff of Grandmaster from Thor Ragnarok.
The whole setup was very Thor Ragnarok.
It was Contest of Champions. There was
Secret Wars.
Right. Well, before Secret Wars, there was a 2-issue book by Marvel in which the Grandmaster and somebody else, I can't tell you right now, brought all the superheroes together and they had to battle it out. And they had like round 1, round 2 with the different, the Thing versus the whole kind of a thing or whatever. So yeah, this was pretty much a direct ripoff, and they just haphazardly pulled the original Teen Titans in, then they have to battle the Teen Titans Go, but they make it a point of pointing out the ridiculousness not only of the Teen Titans Go, because they're so absurd and out of left field and scatological in some of the stuff that they do, but even like the Teen Titans, they make fun of the fact that they were so serious that at one point Robin, he goes, "I thought you were baby versions of us, but you're just jerks." And I'm like, he's true. They're not likable in any way, shape, or form.
But the Teen Titans Go refer to the Teen Titans as serious with quotes around it.
Yeah,
it's the serious version of me.
Yes.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay, go ahead.
It is Weird Al Yankovic that puts all this in motion.
Yes, and I didn't realize that until the end. Until the
end.
Gentleman Ghost, who I've never heard of.
No, but apparently, this has got to be a character from the DC canon, right?
Right.
From somewhere in the past. But Teen Titans Go movie opens in the reality of Teen Titans Go, and they are battling the Gentleman Ghost, who can possess one at a time anybody. So he possesses a thug to go in and rob a bank. What he's going to do with the money, I don't know. Once he gets it.
He couldn't pick it up when he was in ghost form. He couldn't pick it up. It kind of defeats the purpose.
So the Titans show up to battle him, and he ends up possessing Raven, who is part demon. And while he's in her head, he unleashes her demon side, and which comes out in a very scary fashion and totally obliterates the Gentleman Ghost. And this is all in the first 5 minutes.
Right,
of the movie.
Yeah.
And the other Titans just think this is awesome because Raven is just upgraded, as they say.
Yeah.
Why don't you do this all the time, Mama? As Beast Boy says.
So they've never mentioned Trigon in the Teen Titans Go?
Oh, no, he shows up every once in a while.
Okay.
Like, he'll show up and bring him a pizza or something and then try to eat Raven's soul or something.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, this was the catalyst for the first issue of the reboot from 1980.
Trigon.
Raven. Yeah. Yep. This is what actually forged them together.
So the Gentleman Ghost unlocks the demon, cracks Raven's gem, which is in her forehead. And apparently and you've never heard this on Teen Titans Go before, but the gem is what keeps the demon in check.
Yeah.
And right after this battle is when the Master of Games shuttles the Teen Titans Go to this very Ragnarok-looking stadium to have them battle their more serious versions from the 2003 Teen Titans. And the way that he does it is with a device called a whirligog.
Say it with me. Whirligog.
Whirligog.
That's like a 5-minute scene right there.
And he uses this to scour the multiverse for the best versions of particular heroes so he can set them off against each other. So these are only 2 versions out of a possible, 1,000 million versions of Teen Titans that he has access to with this whirligog. And he's come up with it that these 2 versions are the best and that he's got to pit them against each other. And it's not only a callback to Ragnarok, but kind of a callback, not that they would have ever known this, but to Rise of Skywalker, when you've got all these thousands of Sith in this big arena where Palpatine is, and you're thinking, well, who are these people?
Right.
And in this particular arena, you've got one guy who's got like the Ghostbusters / through the Teen Titans Go logo, and he's yelling, "You ruined my childhood."
Was it George Lucas?
I look like comic book guy, actually, from The Simpsons.
Worst episode ever.
There's a battle between the two. As Jeff has already mentioned, the serious Titans refer to the Teen Titans Go as the baby Titans.
Right.
It's like a tournament. So every time one of them gets defeated, he gets put in a cage. So he's out. It's like bombardment. He's out of the game. So it comes down to, I think at the very end, it's the serious version of Cyborg and Robin against Raven. And Raven unleashes the demon again and becomes victorious. And boom, here's the reveal that the Master of Games isn't the Master of Games, really. He is Trigon. And not just Trigon, he is the 2003 version of Trigon, which we assume has been vanquished by Raven already. But no, our Go version of Trigon has resurrected him, and all they needed, it's kind of like a Voldemort Harry Potter thing. All they need is the power of Raven herself to bring the big, serious, scary version of Trigon back.
Although he wasn't fully formed, so he actually was missing a leg. So there's a joke where they called him Tripod. And the one thing I want to point out, which, when we first reviewed Teen Titans Go, I had no clue that the original voiceover artists all did the exact same voices for both versions. So much like when we talked about Us, and the 2 actors playing the 2 completely different versions of themselves, these guys must have had a blast. And you just got to wonder how they pulled it off, because there's a lot of rat-a-tat dialogue going on.
And they're talking against each other,
against
themselves, right. Really.
I mean, it's one thing you can animate it; it doesn't matter. But to have them do the voiceover work.
And now this has been in the works for quite some time. Kari Payton, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He also plays King Ezekiel from The Walking Dead, and he voices Cyborg. And he said on some interview clip that I saw with him maybe 6-7 months ago that they recorded this, the vocals for this, I don't know how long, but he said it seemed like forever ago.
Really?
So I think that's usually the process, right? They do the recording first, and then
because
they do the animation.
They'll probably storyboard the hell out of this. They have a script. And they'll probably bring these guys in multiple times and do multiple takes, different versions. And then maybe, storylines fall by the wayside, or they change things up, and then you got to bring them back in to do more loop work or whatever. But you would think that because when did Teen Titans Go? The movie came out last year.
Yeah.
So they must have just right on the heels of that decided they were just going to pull this together.
Right. So ever since I saw the interview, I knew this was coming. And I was just waiting and waiting to see any kind of news about it. And then it finally just dropped, surprisingly, on DVD and Blu-ray in September of 2019. Once the two Trigons make their appearance, it's apparent that the plot of the movie at this point, this whole tournament thing, was just a ruse to get Raven, because they need Raven in order to feed the big Trigon, and they're both together going to take over the multiverse. And that's the plot of the movie. So they kidnap both Ravens, both Trigons kidnap both Ravens to feed off of her demon to gain power, disappear, and the other Titans are then left in the Teen Titans Go universe to kind of band together and decide what they're going to do. And of course, there's a great scene where they all end up in the Go version of the Teen Titans Tower. And as soon as they get there, Go Robin says, "We got to find Ravens. Teen Titans go!" And just jumps through the window.
And they're all standing there going, "What's he doing?"
And the other Titans are like, "Yeah, we need a plan, dude." And they come back and, I guess we do need a plan.
Right. And they launch into that rap song, "We Are the Teen Titans."
Which was pretty funny in itself. It's no Michael Bolton number, like from Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Right.
But yeah, it's got a couple of big musical numbers in this as well. Yes. And yeah, it's very funny. It's a very well done movie. It doesn't have the celebrity power that Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
But you don't need it. You didn't need any kind of stunt casting. It's the two worlds colliding. So if you were a fan of the original Teen Titans, you're getting your fix.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, it is a Teen Titans Go movie. It's their universe. You know, they're the driving force, even though they're goofy. At one point, we end up chasing after Santa Claus.
Yes, because they figure out that they need the Teen Titans Go version of the Whirligog, because the Trigons have the Serious Titans version of the Whirligog. You know, who knows where everybody is at any given time?
But Santa
Claus. Now, it's important to note, Jeff, that because you don't watch the show, that Santa is a recurring character.
Is he?
On the Teen Titans
Well, I think
Go
at one
show.
point, Robin, the serious Robin, actually asked him, he goes, you know, "Do you always battle Santa?" And Beast Boy was like, "Not always, just during holiday specials."
And which is true, because the Easter Bunny is on the show, the Tooth Fairy is on the show, and they're all villains. So they have to battle reindeer, they have to battle elves, and they finally get their hands on the Whirligog. And this is where, if you're a comic book fan, or your history goes back with the Teen Titans, that you're going to be rewarded, because in order to battle the two Trigons, they open up the multiverse, all these portals, and every iteration of versions of Titans come,
and even some made up ones that look like old Looney Tunes, you know, from the 40s, black and white,
and literally baby Titans at one point come through.
Well, I have to point out that my friend Franco and Art Baltazar, who write and draw Teeny Titans for years now, I used to hang out with Franco. He had a comic book store in Golden's Bridge years ago, and he now owns multiple comic stores. Comics. He's a big name guy, and their little characters are right there on the screen, and I'm like, that was so cool. So, but you're right, they had the direct video Titans,
and they even had like a Justice League cartoon version of the Titans,
yep,
which never existed before.
No, but correct, but they were drawn that way. Right out of the comic book, like you said, right out of the comic books, the Marv Wolfman, George Perez versions were there,
and then you had an even more serious version of the Titans with Nightwing as the
that's the direct
character.
direct to video Titans. I think there was a couple different. I don't know if they did Judas Contract, but there was a couple different versions of them as well.
And there's a nice joke, because of course the Go version of Robin is jealous of the regular Teen Titans version of Robin from the minute he sets eyes on him, but then that 2003 version of Robin is in turn jealous of the Nightwing because he's so much cooler than the 2003 version of Robin. Yeah. And of course, Starfire has to make goo-goo eyes at every ascending version of Robin that there is. Yep.
Yeah, there were some buxom versions of Starfire herself. So
yes, they were just getting more buxom as they were coming through those portals.
Yeah, they've listen. She's an alien who apparently her breasts defy gravity, so it is their special powers. And I like the fact that the Trigons merge together. So you got one Trigon plus one Trigon equals hexagon.
Right.
And it's like, and
Robin's like, "You mean the shape? Like the shape?" It's like, no.
But he has two butts, so they're making all these butt jokes. They're like, too many butt jokes.
And Trigon at one point is like, "The two butts wasn't the selling point, okay?"
Right. This was a lot of fun. This really was.
It was.
You know what?
And you know what my favorite joke was when the two ravens, right after they're kidnapped by the two Trigons, in order to get away, they convinced the big Trigon that he's thirsty. And you see him smacking his lips for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And he finally convinces the little Trigon, just like a servant, to go get him a soda. And place the straw in my mouth, up a little, okay, to the right, to the left. No, come on. And by the time he finally gets the straw in his mouth, the two ravens
They've escaped. They've escaped. And we do get a power-up raven, though, which was pretty cool.
Yes, because the little Trigon has enough of the bullying from the big Trigon and consumes him and becomes Hexagon, as we've already mentioned. Yep. And so then even the combined might of all these Titans can't defeat Hexagon, with his two butts. So what Raven then decides that she has to do is consume the power of all the ravens that have assembled, and she becomes a super raven, the ultimate upgrade. And
they called her the unkindness. Is that
the unkindness? Yes,
the unkindness.
And she manages to defeat.
And that fight's pretty epic.
It is. And did you get the shout out to Legend?
No.
Did you see that when Trigon is grabbing on the two buildings as she's forcing him back?
Like
he says, "You can't defeat me. I am Hexagon, just like Darkness."
No, Darkness. I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah.
That makes it all worthwhile right there.
Yeah. So I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Because my son is such a big fan. Right when this came out, I bought it on Blu-ray for him. As a stocking stuffer. Nice. And he's watched it a few times while we've been recording. So I've never seen it until this viewing of it. I love Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and I would say that they're pretty much equal in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said, I think I did like this a little bit better, only because of my connection to the original Teen Titans. But
did you have a preferred version of the Titans that emerged from the portals in this movie at the end?
Yeah, because I go back to the 1980 comics. Like I said, that was my gateway into really the DC superhero universe, and especially when they crossed over with the X-Men. And I just that entire run, that was, I think, issue 2 was the first appearance of Deathstroke, who we know on Teen Titans Go as Slade.
Right.
Slade. The Terra that I mentioned it before, the Judas contract, which is just this horrible storyline. They introduced and they gave her a little shout out, this character named Terra, and she becomes a Titan. She's kind of like an orphan. She's got elemental power. She can control rocks, and her and Garfield, the changeling Beast Boy, have a relationship, and she's on the team for quite some time. And then you realize that she's a plant that Deathstroke had put in there to break them apart. And she ends up dying at the end. It's a horrible, heart-wrenching storyline, but this is actually where Robin stops being Robin and he becomes Nightwing.
Oh.
And that issue, I think it's number 44, is actually worth quite a chunk of change.
Now, the character of Terra is a semi-regular on Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
And she just shows up really to throw a wrench into the Raven Beast Boy relationship.
Oh, okay. There you go. So, but and that was actually that Teen Titans was one of the very first comics that went to direct market. That was, you couldn't just go to the newsstand. You had to go to a comic book store. And of course, I didn't have a comic book store, so I actually had to get a subscription, and it came in my mailbox once.
Oh, nice. How did they deliver it? Was like a sturdy cardboard?
It was no cardboard. It was Playboy. It was in a little brown sleeve, and of course the mailman's always folding it in half. So
right.
I think I had
to stick it in your mailbox.
Right,
it rolls it up.
Wad it up with the rest of the mail, and I never thought anything of it. That my X-Men and my Teen Titans and the Micronauts was also another one that was direct market. And so I had subscriptions to all of those. I think it was like $13 for the year or something like that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Put it to a kid, that's like $1 million.
I know.
$13. I can't afford
that's your whole year of allowance right there.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, the fact that I ponied down on that $2 comic book when left another $5 on the shelf there, I'm like, oh, I gotta go. So, but yes, that was I loved it.
And Weird Al at the very end makes another appearance.
Darkseid. Yeah.
Now he has played Darkseid before on the show. 2 or 3 times to great comedic effect. I love it when he's on the show, and I was so happy to see him as Darkseid. When they first introduced Darkseid into the Teen Titans Go show, he had imprisoned the Justice League, and it's up to the Teen Titans to rescue the Justice League from Darkseid. So they sneak into Darkseid's lair, and they see the Justice League frozen in their containment chambers, and they're sneaking through, and all of a sudden Darkseid shows up, and they're all terrified. Darkseid shows up with this booming, deep, scary voice, and then starts to cough.
Oh.
And Starfire says, "Are you in need of the lozenge, sir?" And so she gives him a cough drop, and he's like, "Thank you very much." And he puts it in, and suddenly his voice is like Weird Al's. And
that's funny.
You're not so much the scary anymore, sir.
I will tell you, I'll admit to the fact that I probably for years called him Darkseid because I didn't know how to
because that's the way it's spelled, right?
Because he is the bad guy in the X-Men, the Darkseid and Dark Phoenix team up together. And that's the bad guy in the X-Men Teen Titans issue.
But yeah, the joke at the very end of the movie is that the Teen Titans are so wiped from their battle with the two Trigons is that they just let Darkseid run rampant in Jump City and don't do anything about it.
I saw the ad that runs in between because we get commercials, and there's this dog called Poops a Lot. It's a little dog.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, this is really what kids want? Like,
but there is a whole poop theme going through toys these days, and it's mostly girls' toys.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that is. So what Jeff is talking about, this Poops a Lot line of toys, is you can get a cat or a dog and actually walk it because I think it's
got wheels or something.
It's got wheels, and it's almost like a RC remote control thing where it wheels down the sidewalk as you have a leash, and it drops these tiny, tiny little brown pellets behind it. The most unrealistic animal droppings that you could ever.
Oh, you have a gerbil.
If you have a gerbil or a rabbit, maybe.
You got to start somewhere. You got to work your way up to the big dog piles.
So that's all it does is you walk it and it poops. And it's called Poops a Lot.
That should be our commercial in between.
Yeah, it should be.
And on that note,
so
do we need to get those buckets?
I'd go 3.5 with this.
I would go at least 3. I'd probably go a little bit higher than that.
Really?
Yeah, I really did like it. It was fun.
Yeah.
3 3/4.
And I would very much like them to come out with another Teen Titans movie.
Yeah, I don't remember what I gave the Teen Titans Go movie, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's not like you need to see that in order to see this.
Right.
So.
But yeah, recommended. Very highly recommended.
It was fun.
Let's go to the concession stand, and we'll be back with a very similar reboot of a beloved intellectual property called Thundercats Roar.
Jim, I'm very parched. Can you put the straw up to my lips?
There.
We'll be back.
The next show will start in 10 minutes.
What is it?
Say,
What is it?
hey, why it's Buttercup. Popcorn and sweet cream butter, too hot popcorn. Mix it up, wrap it up, Buttercup is born.
It's delicious.
So nutritious.
It's a taste delight.
It's so munchy,
Crisp and crunchy.
you'll enjoy each bite. Eat butter-drenched Buttercup, popcorn at its best.
Served in a king-size cup.
It beats all the rest.
Okay, so we're back, and Thundercats Roar. Now, this is going to be very interesting because Jeff is a lover of the Thundercats, so much so that he named Thundercats as his #1 afternoon cartoon on our afternoon cartoon special episode.
Not only that, I had at one point 2 cats named Chitara and Panthro.
Now, the buzz on this has been largely negative from the public because what Thundercats Roar is very much in the similar vein as Teen Titans Go, where it's a kind of a kid-friendly comedic take on these previously semi-serious. There was always comic relief on the Thundercats, but not to this.
No.
So, and they're done in that very kid-friendly animation style.
I want to say almost, I equate it to almost like a Adventure Time type of.
Yeah, you're right.
Really, really goofy take on these characters.
And it is, the animation is jarring at first, like it almost amateurish. It fits the feel of the show, I think. So you get used to it as you watch more episodes. But I want to get Jeff's take on what his initial thoughts were about this and what his ultimate thoughts were after actually seeing the thing.
Well, I will tell you that I have a fair amount of Thundercat friends online who immediately, the moment this was announced, and I think before anything was shown outside of like the initial designs, were just like lambasting. It was like, not my Thundercats. And I'm like, you know what? It's not for you. It's not for you. It's not for me. You know, they tried rebooting Thundercats once before, and it was actually pretty well done. I don't think it got caught much of an audience. But this is in the vein of the Teen Titans Go. And if this is your first exposure to Thundercats, then and you now know who Lion-O and Cheetara and Panthro are, then I give it credit. But I hated it. I tried, dude. I sat through 5 episodes, and when you make Snarf the smartest one in the group, my wife sat there watching it with me, and she's like, "This is horrible," and I'm like, "But it's not for you." And I really did. And they're only, what do you say? What do we say? We're like 15, 20-minute episodes at the most.
Yeah, that's the Cartoon Network thing, is that every single episode is 15 minutes long.
Is that the attention span of these children
I
nowadays?
think that they're assuming that that's what it is. Yeah.
That's as long as you can be.
In and out, drop the mic, we're done.
Right. Yeah. There's no commercial breaks because I'm going to lose you.
Yeah.
Lion-O is played as a complete and utter jerk.
An idiot.
Really? An idiot. And I think whoever's doing his voice. Do you remember Will Ferrell in Austin Powers? Mustafa?
Yes.
Goes, "Oh, I'm trapped down here. Can someone help me? Oh, my arm's broken. I'm hurting really bad." Like, that's, to me, it was like, this guy's doing a really bad impersonation of Will Ferrell as that character.
As that guy.
I thought it's set up, so the first 2 episodes is basically the introduction. It's referred to as Exodus. And
now the first 5 seconds of the first episode is the introduction. Thundera blows up. You don't know why.
No. That's
no explanation.
I don't even know if it was ever explained. Did we ever know why Krypton blew up? I mean, I guess over the years, different...
global warming?
Republicans. But Thundera blows up, but somehow this group makes it off. Jaga, who was narrating it as a ghost, but then he doesn't show up in any of the other episodes. So I was kind of like, that would have been a funny carry through, right? I guess,
if he was the narrator, right? At least, yeah.
But you're quickly introduced to Tiger and Cheetara and the Wily Kit and Wily Cat and Snarf, was the most annoying character on the original show.
He's the least annoying character on this show.
And you find out he's a freaking robot. And I'm like, all right, you just now made Snarf the coolest character on this show. Because Lion-O, who you're all like, Lion-O, like, he doesn't even know how to work the sword. He's an idiot.
It's almost like a Greatest American Hero thing with the sword.
He's a buffoon. He's an absolute buffoon. At one point, Snarf saves him, and he hacks up the claw thing that he wears on his, I don't know what it's referred to. And he was like, "Oh, you just hacked up a hairball mitten or something." But we're introduced to Mumm-ra, we get the Burbles first, which were probably, coming out 86. You're coming right off the tails. They were obviously an answer to Ewoks. They're these little robot teddy bears that even, then when I watched it, I hated them.
Or what were those little, the Doozers from Fraggle Rock? That's what I got.
Oh, gotcha. Burbles. Yeah. Burbles. Yeah. Well, I think in the original, they had like fur mixed in with the robot parts. This did look like robots, but every time they mention Mumm-ra's name, they get zapped by his lightning. And that was just,
that was funny because that was probably the best joke for me. That
was funny because they just couldn't stop themselves.
Yeah.
Right. They couldn't stop themselves from saying it. And they're like, well, that's just, part of who and what we are. And then Lion-O says it, and he doesn't get zapped.
Because he says Mumm-ra, right? He doesn't say it right.
He doesn't say it right. So at the end, somehow Lion-O magically defeats... Well, the Burbles actually do defeat Mumm-ra in his full form, and he turns back into the Emperor Palpatine-looking frail guy. And they're like, who TP'd the mummy? That was another funny joke. But by and large, like I said, there's a whole episode, Legend of Boggy Ben, that had to do with the last box of Thunder Snaps, which is just like Scooby snacks to me.
Cookie O'Clock.
Cookie O'Clock.
Lion-O was looking to get that last jar of Thunder Snaps open.
Right.
And loses the kids while doing it.
And it's like 2 episodes in a row they make fun of Tiger's paddle ball.
The joke in the very first episode, look, I have a whip with balls on it.
Right. Although in the one episode prank call, they did have a Silverhawks shout out. which
Oh,
I
did
thought was
they?
kind of, yeah, he was on the screen. I can't remember the Silver Hawk that wore the cowboy hat.
Oh.
I can't remember. He was on the screen.
But my favorite episode was the last one, The Secret of the Unicorn.
Secret of the Unicorn. I kept waiting for
funny.
Charlie the Unicorn to show up.
The mutants kidnap the unicorns, thinking that they can have once they do that, they'll get a wish granted, and their wish is, of course, to destroy the Thundercats.
Right.
This led my wife to requesting us to do The Last Unicorn at some point.
Oh, hell yeah.
Movies, yeah.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, that was just on recently.
Was it?
We were
Really?
watching. Yeah, it was on like HBO or something.
So at the very end, when the unicorns are reunited, because the last unicorn that's not kidnapped by the mutants goes to the Thundercats for help, but she can't really communicate because she's too busy crying and being sad that she's the last unicorn. When they do rescue the others and they're all together, it turns out that they have to be together to grant a wish. And what do they wish for? They don't wish for Thundera to be back and them back home. They wish for headphones, so Tigra can sit there undisturbed by their Lion-O's dance party. So I really liked this. I thought it was hilarious.
That's fine. That's.
And my son, he did not want to watch this whatsoever when I turned on the first episode, and he was laughing. He was in for all 6 episodes, and he stopped what he was doing.
He's the target market.
So he now knows Lion-O, he knows Tiger,
just
like you were saying. He knows Cheetara, he knows Panthro.
Yep, job well done. And if he probably watched the original show, he'd be like, this sucks.
He probably would be.
Right? Because first of all, it's 30 minutes, maybe 26.
So there you go. It has its merits, and that's what it does. It's bringing these characters to a whole new generation.
Yeah, I'd rather that than just sit on a shelf somewhere and relegated to 50-year-old guys who lament the fact that they don't make anything good anymore.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a movie one day, Thundercats Roar versus Thundercats.
Boom. Let's go.
Yeah.
That would be something serious. That almost sounds like our confessional question.
We didn't give buckets yet. I'm afraid
Oh,
to
no,
ask
we didn't
you.
give. I don't even know if I can give buckets. I was entertained.
You laughed at the burble joke, right?
I did laugh at the burble joke. The burble joke was pretty funny, but that was in episode 1. I still had to sit through 5 more episodes.
Only 15 minutes each, I might add.
That's true, I know, but sometimes that just seems a little too long.
Yeah.
I'll give it a solid 3. No, I'm not gonna.
You see,
poo-poo.
I was going for that too, but I think I liked it more than you, so I'm gonna have to go 3 1/4.
Yeah, at least.
So
don't poo-poo it until you see it.
Yes.
Don't just sit there on high and say, "No, my Thundercats."
Right, and
give it a shot, and then you can lambast it all you want. Then you can rip it apart, and you'd be like, "Nope, I tried it."
Mm-hmm.
That's like saying, "I'm not going to eat that because it looks like crap." Why don't you take a bite first, kid?
Or smell it at least.
Yes. Ooh, what's in it? Yes, but just go in knowing that Lion-O is a jerk. He's got no redeeming qualities.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
this is not your dad's Lion-O.
No.
Or maybe not your Lion-O, depending on how old you are. All right, so this leads to our confessional this week.
Confessionals.
Seeing that we've now reviewed Teen Titans Go and Thundercats Roar, is there an older, semi-serious or serious cartoon that you think would benefit from such a treatment, from such a kid-friendly treatment as Teen Titans Go and Thundercats Roar? So, Jeff, when you came up with this, did you have anything specific in mind as your answer?
I guess I did, especially after the Thundercat stuff, because, like I said, if this introduces somebody like your son to that universe, then it's not a bad thing for me.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of properties, and I said properties and or cartoons that we grew up with Saturday morning that just sit on the shelf somewhere. And I will tell you straight up, you and I both agree, there's multiple generations of kids or people who do not know the name Sid and Marty Krofft.
Oh, yes.
Okay, we've talked about them.
This didn't even cross my mind.
We have talked about Sid and Marty Krofft and how these shows, you know what, I looked it up. So, they had they were all over the place between the late 60s and early 70s. You couldn't turn on Saturday morning cartoon without being bombarded with one of these properties that they created. And you're talking Land of the Lost, which was probably the king daddy of them all. H.R. Puff and stuff. Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. What do you have? Bugaloos. Lidsville. Banana Splits. Were they Banana
That wasn't
Splits?
Krofft, but it was
That
similar.
wasn't Krofft. Okay. But what about Lost Saucer?
Lost Saucer, Far Out Space Nuts.
So there's so what I'm proposing is 6 to 10 minute little mini episodes, almost like Looney Tunes, where you had a solid hour. and maybe you get a Bugs Bunny cartoon, and maybe you get a Porky Pig cartoon. You get an HR Puff and stuff. Maybe it looks like Teen Titans. Maybe it's something a little more serious. But each one of these shows could probably have its own kind of look and feel.
Yeah.
But what would be great is that then somehow you intertwine them into like one storyline. At some point, you have a Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans type of a storyline where maybe they're all trapped on HR Puff and Stuff's island, and they all got to band together, work together, or in Land of the Lost for that matter.
Right.
So, but the weird thing is none of those shows lasted more than 2 years. Most of them were just one a year.
Yeah, Puff and Stuff.
They were like one and done.
But yeah, they just repeated them over and over and over again.
Yeah, but we always watched them.
Yeah,
ad nauseum.
That would be great.
I still would to this day.
Yeah,
I still can't believe that there was a Sid and Marty Krofft theme park.
That would have been awesome too.
Bummed
if
to know that even
existed for more than 6 months. But
right.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome, like in an animated version, especially.
Right. Yeah, because you could really have a lot of fun. Just think of like Land of the Lost, especially when you get into some of that weird crap with the slee stacks and the pylons and the alternate universe type of thing. So Marshall, Will, and Hallie step through that, and they end up in one of these other universes, fighting the Bugaloos or something. So I don't know. That's just my thought.
You could bring back the Bay City Rollers while we're at it.
There you go. I heard they're touring.
That is an awesome choice.
So there you go. That's my choice.
I wonder what you would call it.
I don't know, because when they didn't they have like the Sid and Marty Krofft hour or Power Hour or something like that?
Yeah, every show had their names in it. So this would as well, I think. It would have to be like...
The universe of Sid and Marty Krofft?
Right. Because they had, it was 2 Fs, right? In Krofft with a K.
I believe that is, Krofft, I believe is correct.
I'm going to go something that had a slightly more serious tone originally, which I think could benefit because it was never a favorite show of mine. G.I. Joe.
Oh.
I think would be great as a stupid comedic kind of thing. You just think of those characters.
making fun of the armed forces.
Like Duke or Snake Eyes or Cobra Commander.
Well, even Cobra Commander. I mean, he was a cartoon to begin with. He was a
Baroness. Yeah. Destro.
Yep, Destro.
They would be awesome as like little, big-headed go type characters.
That would be cool. And you could have like the big aircraft carriers. They could make fun of the fact that they were a toy line. G.I. Joe Go.
Yeah.
G.I. Go.
But did you notice that Thundercats was done by Warner Brothers, as is Teen Titans Go?
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe Warner...
I did like that opening, and I think we saw it with the Teen Titans Go, that DC opening with all the superheroes.
Yes.
The silhouettes and the framework of the... I thought that was kind of a neat opening.
Yeah. And then, G.I. Joe always had that public service announcement at the very end.
Yeah, now you know.
Some kind of after-school special. Yeah.
Right.
So, so they could do stupid stuff like only use 1 square of toilet paper, or, stuff that actually does mean something, but it's still stupid at the same time.
Could we bring in the Space Force when they get up and running?
So maybe someday.
G.I. Joe, that did take itself a little too seriously.
It did.
It needs to be taken down a notch. You're right. Snake Eyes and... who was the white guy? Who was the white
Storm
guy?
Shadow.
Storm Shadow.
The ninja, yeah.
You could do a whole spy versus spy with those guys.
Yes, you could. That would be awesome.
No, they don't speak.
Because they don't talk.
They don't speak.
Yeah.
No, and you would just have like a little 2-minute little vignette thing that something happens, almost like a panel per panel leading in and out of the cartoons.
Right.
Dude, we're all over this. Freaking geniuses.
I wonder who did the show. Like what studio that was.
Oh, geez.
Let's start a letter.
Funimation?
Everybody out there that listens, let's do letters. A letter writing campaign. Whatever studio that was.
I don't think that's happened since Star Trek going off the air, dude.
The power.
Sure, we could do a GoFundMe campaign.
Or do a Twitter campaign or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Just make sure that you tag TMI, my friends.
So hopefully we did well this week without Christina. Hopefully none of you tuned out.
I'm pretty sure that she's happy she skipped this one.
I think her life would have been improved slightly by Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans
Go. We'll never
Don't
know.
despair. She will be back next week. We're discussing The Thing. We're doing a 5-bucket episode on John Carpenter's The Thing. Long overdue.
I was going to say, I can't believe it's taken us this long.
I know. But she'll be back. So don't worry. Tune in next week.
Yes.
And you will hear Christina.
Yeah. But meanwhile, enjoy your week. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, as always.
All right.
We're out. Hello, everybody. If you liked the podcast you just heard, then please follow TMI on all of our social media outlets. First and foremost, email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com. That is tmipodcast tmi2018@gmail.com.
And you can follow us on Twitter at TMI_podcast2018. Stop over, say hi, give us a compliment. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Make sure you follow us on Instagram as well, which is also TMI_podcast2018.
And of course, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/TMI Podcast 2018. And it should be noted, we also have a community page, so join the forum.
And if you like to watch YouTube, you can see us at TMI Podcast 2018, all one word. Look for the popcorn bucket.
Popcorn bucket. Or you could just go to our website, which has every link there, TMIConfessionalspodcast.com. And we'll see you at the concession stand.
We'll save some popcorn for you.
Kneel before Zod and light me up.